Welcome back to the channel. This is Yuglo Fashion and thank you so much for stopping by. Today we'll be learning how to make this Peplum Bustier Plunge neck top. And this is the fabric I'll be using for this. It's a lace fabric and a scuba. I've drafted my body's measurements on this pattern paper, the nipple points, underbust, the half length and the allowance. I've labeled them accordingly. So for the shoulder, I measured the circumference of the shoulder divided by 2. That's what I have here. Then here also I measured the circumference of the bust divided by 4. So it's the measurement I have at the half length I also used at the allowance. Then I try to trace it out well with my marker so as to be more visible. For the armhole, from the shoulder I measured 7 inches. From that 7 inches I measured 4.5. At the edge here I measured 1 inch in, then I connected it inside. Here also I measured half, so I'll just connect this way. So whatever I have at the nipple points, I will add 1 inch just for it to have this sharp or slant shape to the armhole. Now I've gone ahead to connect everything. The next thing now is to measure the nipple to nipple circumference, which is 7 inches divided by 2. So I measured it from the nipple point down to the allowance at the half length. Then I connected it with my ruler. After connecting that together, I measured 2 inches. So this 2 inches is for the bustier part. So the bustier, the shape, the 2 inches we cut across from the nipple point to the half length. Then I will rule everything out. So the middle and the side are going to share the 2 inches. They are going to share the 2 inches. So the middle part of it will take half, while the side will take the 1.5 inches. I have video on this if you don't understand very well, but I think it's more explanatory. So the half inches I'll connect it. You know, the bust is starting from the the bust ends at the underbust, so that's why the slant shape will end at the underbust. Then I'll be connecting it to the 4.5 here, the 4.5 I measured earlier. Now for the side, the remaining 1.5 will be connected to the 7 inches with this cuff shape. So it's very easy. Now to connect the 2 lines together, if I'm joining it, the side will just, when I'm stitching, I might be short of fabric. So in order to avoid that, I added 1 inch extra allowance. So when I'm joining, it will reduce my armhole to make it accurate. That's the essence of this 1 inch. So whatever I have here, the 2 inches I measured earlier, I'm going to add it back to the measurements. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm adding back the 2 inches, then I'll connect them together as well. Please note that I've not added any seam allowance to the side. After that, I'll work on the neckline. For the neckline, Though the chest, the style is plunge neck, but it also has turtleneck. So for that, I'll be making use of 2.5 inches for the circumference of the neckline, and also I'll be using 2.5 inches for the width, the length rather. Now after tracing this out, I moved to the shoulder. I marked 1 inch, then slanted it back to the neckline. For the plunge neck, it will end at the under bust. So that's where it ends. This is optional. If you want yours not to be as long as that, why not? Feel free to do so. Now after that, I'll measure 2.5 by the side here. That's the part I will slant to the under bust. So I label that B, that's the plunge neck. Now I'm cutting out the unwanted part of it. Sorry, I made mistake while cutting, so I just have to readjust. So I use my tape to gum it back. So this is what I have now. So the middle part of the bustier, that's the part I'm cutting out now. Please don't make mistake. Now for the side, I'll go ahead and do likewise. I'll cut it out. Now for the plunge part, I'll just trace this out because I'm using another fabric for it. Even if I'm not using other fabric, I still have to cut it out because it's a plunge neck. Now I'm done with the front bodies. This is the back bodies. I've labeled it. The zipper allowance is 2 inches. Then the nipple points, the under bust, just the way I measured for the front bodies. This is the armhole. The only difference is just the zipper allowance. I've measured the total circumference of the bodies. Now the nipple to nipple circumference, just like the front, but in this case it's going to be a dart. So the nipple to nipple is 3.7 inches divided by 2, that's 3.5. So I started the measurement from the nipple point, then down to the half length, the allowance. From both sides, I will measure half here, that's the half length. Then I'll connect it back to with a slant shape. You can see that one, the line is not straight, it's slant. So I'll connect it back to the nipple point. Now I'm done with the dart. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out. So for the neckline, the neckline is 2.5 inches, just like the one I measured for the front, but the length I used is 1 inch because it has a collar, turtleneck. Now the side here I measured 1 inch, Then I slant it back to the shoulder, to the neckline. I slant the shoulder back to the neckline. After cutting, in order for my zipper not to budge, I measured one half inch here, then I slant it back to the neckline. So this is the front piece and this is the back bodies. So I've cut it out on my fabric. So for the flare part of it, which is the peplum, I folded into 4. The circumference, the length of the blouse is 23 minus half length, which is 16, so I have 7 inches. So I added 1 inch for seam, which makes it 8. Now after folding the fabric into 2, I later fold into 4 as well. Then from that down part, I measured the 8 inches, which is the length of the blouse, the length of the peplum. So whatever I have up here, I chalk it round to see whether it will align with the circumference of the half length. The circumference of the half length is 32 inches. Plus zipper allowance. So let's see whether it's aligned. So now I have the circumference plus 1 inch for zipper allowance. You know, I've reduced the zipper allowance at the half length. Now I will chalk it round. After chalking, I'll cut everything out. Now I have the peplum already. I notched the middle and opened one side. You know, we have 2 folded sides, so I notch one side, then open up the other side. So this is the front bodies now, the plunge part of it, and so I'll be stitching the 3 together. Just watch, it's easy. After stitching the 3 together, I notch the underbust of the front, the middle and the side, so I will ensure they align. After stitching, I notch it for it to relax well. Now after stitching, I stitch the dart of the back bodies as well, then connect the front bodies and the back bodies together. I stitch the shoulders together and also the measurements at the side. So later I stitch the peplum. So to stitch the peplum, the middle I notched earlier, I pinned it to the middle of the upper bodies, then I joined the peplum. Now I went ahead to fix the zipper. Now measure the circumference of the neckline. So whatever I have here, it's on fold already. So I measure 2 inches, the width is 2 inches, then the length is the circumference I have at the neckline. I went ahead to fold one side in, Then I notch the middle, so I'll just place it on the wrong side of the blouse, then I'll stitch it round. Then the parts I folded earlier, this is the excess I have there. I have like 1 inch extra, so I folded it inside, then I stitched on it. That's the folded parts I did earlier, so I stitched it on it. Now this is the part that the button will be fixed. You know, it's a turtleneck and I'm fixing button here, and I fixed the button. So thank you very much for watching this video to the end. I would like you to replicate it. God bless.